Hello there, welcome to my channel. I'm very excited to have you here with me. In today's section, I'm going to share with you my experience with the Canadian education system as an African parent. I'm going to tell you how different the Canadian education system is from what we are used to back home in Africa. I'm also going to use my children as a case study to let you know areas in which they have improved tremendously and also areas that I think they would have done better off if we were still back home in Africa. Please stay with me through to the end of this video. Do well to subscribe to the channel if you have not done that yet, and do not forget to turn on your notification bell so that you do not miss my subsequent videos. Let me hasten to add that the views that I'm going to share in this video are solely based on my location. I am located in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and may not be the same in every province or city in Canada, or even in every school. There are some things that are different based on the school your children attend. The very first thing I would want to say is that here in Canada, the elementary and secondary school system is basically free, so you do not pay for it, and that begins at 4 years. Here in Toronto, it begins at 4 years from kindergarten. So they have 2 years in kindergarten, junior kindergarten and senior kindergarten, and then grade 1 starts from 6 years. If your child is lesser than 4 years and you still want your child to go to some form of school, then that has to be the daycare, which should be paid for. However, if you qualify for subsidy, you can still get partial subsidy or total subsidy depending on what your peculiar situation or circumstance is. So I am fortunate to have a child who went through daycare and is currently in kindergarten, and I also have an older child in the elementary school. So these are where I'm drawing my opinions from. The first thing I want to address is the time school starts here. So back home in Africa, classes can start from say 8 or 8:30, but you can take your child to school as early as 7, and the child will still be accepted in school. You can take your child to school as early as 6:30, and your child will still be let into school. When we came to Canada, one thing that really surprised me was that you need to take your child to school at the time school starts. You cannot take your child to school before that time. The time school start here is actually the time that they open the doors and the teachers come out to take their children. So my child in elementary school is supposed to be there by 8:55. If you get there at 8 o'clock, it means that you are going to stand outside with your child till 8:55 when the teachers come out to take their kids. So you better off get there around 8:40, 8:45, 8:50, and then you wait for the teachers to pick your child. And same applies when school closes. When school closes, you cannot go at any time to pick your child. You need to be there just before or exactly at the time the school closes, because the teachers will bring their children out and you are supposed to pick your child from there. But let me add that if you are a parent and for some reasons, probably because of work or something, you need to take your child earlier or later, there are before and after school drop-ins that you have to pay extra for if your circumstance demand that you need to drop in your child earlier, or you need your child to stay in school later after school has closed. The second thing I would want to talk about is the class placement. So here, children are placed in classes based on their age. So like I said earlier on, 4 years is for JK, junior kindergarten, 5 years SK, 6 years grade 1, 7 grade 2, and it goes on like that. Once your child is born in say 2015, it means that your child is already 9 or will be 9 this year. That child will be in grade 4. All children who were born in 2015 will be in the same grade. All children who were born in 2016 will be in the same grade. So let's look at this. Your child might have been born in 2016 by January. Because your child will be 9 years next year, that child will be in grade 3 and not in grade 4. But the difference between that child and the child born in December 2015 is just a month. But still, because your child was born in the next year, your child will be in grade 3 and not in grade 4. So that is how they do it here. And also, they do not jump the children like we sometimes see back home in Africa. When you have a child who is very smart and is kind of above their class, they can be jumped. I've heard of people being jumped from class 4 to class 6, or people being jumped from class 5 to JHS 1 or something like that. That is not the case here. No matter how smart your child is, they will remain in their class. And also back home in Africa, when the child does not perform to as expected to meet the grade, the child can be repeated. I have seen so many people do better because they were made to repeat their classes. However, here, children are not made to repeat their classes. They are all allowed to go, no matter your performance. Next thing I want to talk about is competition. The kind of competition spirit that are in schools in Africa are really not here. Here, every child wins. Every child is a winner. You know, back home in Africa, where at the end of the year, children will have to write exams and they are graded and they are placed in positions and they are awarded. The best student is awarded and all that. Here, they hardly write exams. I mean, here in Toronto, I think the school board once in a while organizes some tests for them, but it's not like termly exams or class tests or all those things. They hardly do anything like that. The children are graded, but not in terms of position. They bring their report cards home, and when you look at it in terms of the subjects, they have progressing very well, progressing well, progressing with difficulty. So say math, progressing well, it means that average. Yeah. Social studies, progressing very well, it means your child is doing well, very well in that. French, progressing with difficulty. So you do not really know at what mark did the child get in that subject, or on what basis they are even grading the child on these skills. And that is all you have on the report card. It doesn't give you fine marks that like we used to have back home in Africa, where they will tell you your class score, your exam score, the average, and add, and then based on that tell you your position in the subject. After that, they do the overall position of the class, and they have the overall best in the class. Aside the subjects they grade, they also grade learning skills and work habits, and that they grade excellent, good, satisfactory, or needs improvement. They grade them how your child is doing in terms of organization, how your child is doing in terms of collaboration, how your child does in terms of independent work, and all these skills are also graded with excellent, good, satisfactory, or needs improvement. So basically, these are the things you will see on your child's report card. For a child who is really competitive and has schooled in Africa, they may not really like this form of grading, because some children are used to, wanting to come out first in their class and being recognized as the best student in their class and all that. So if you have a child like that, that child may not be too happy with the school system here. On the other hand, if you have a child who does not like that kind of competitiveness and all that, that child will feel so much at home here. The pressure on them that makes them know that they are not doing so well will no longer be on them. The next thing I want to talk about is homework. Guys, so back home in Ghana, where I come from, they all started school before age 1, and that was the daycare. Okay, that was daycare. But even in daycare, there is some sort of learning that goes on, and they sing to them, they teach them rhymes, they start teaching them alphabets, they start teaching them numbers, and they start from that very young age. So by the time the child gets to 1 and starts talking, he or she has started counting. And a 2-year-old kid in Africa who goes to school, or in Ghana who goes to school, has started learning how to write. Before we left Ghana, my boy was 2 going to 3. He was just about turning 3 before we left Ghana. At the time, he had started learning how to write. He could count very well. He knew his alphabets. He knew all his alphabets. He could say them. He could identify them. He could actually say 2 times table, from 2:1 to 2:12. Yes, he could say them at, let's say, 3 years. Okay, he could say them, and he could spell from 1 to 10. So academically, he was doing very well. Although you could see that he lacked social skills. I mean, he cannot hold a conversation with an adult. He comes back from school and you ask him, how was school? He is not able to tell you anything significant. He is just interested in reciting alphabets, reciting numbers, spelling, and all the things that he knows how to do. So although he was doing very well in terms of book knowledge, we could see that he was a bit laid back in terms of social skills and other developmental aspects. Yeah, I'm just giving you the background so that you really understand. And yes, talking of homework, at that age, they bring homework home. At 3 years, they bring books home all the time, homework. So you are supposed to write with them, you are supposed to color with them, and they take it back. In fact, sometimes the homework is too much that you feel they are even punishing you, the parents. With that in mind, we moved here to Canada. It took us a while for him to get access to daycare. And then when he did, we were surprised. We thought it was going to continue. He was going to continue in academics. But we realized that it wasn't so much on academics. They weren't thought to write anything. They weren't thought to write anything. Yes, they give them pencils and crayons to just do anything they want to do. They are not, back home, the teacher will hold your hand and try to direct you to write 1 or 2. No, they do not do that here. They'll just give you a crayon or a pencil or anything to do whatever you want to do on the paper. So it's more about letting their child bring out what it is in them. Okay, that is how I see it. So the child is made to explore and then find themselves. So you do not hear them singing rhymes and all these things and trying to spell O-N-E and count from 1 to 100 or 200 like back home. But it was more of developing their social skills, developing their cognitive abilities, developing their motor skills, getting them. So you go to their classroom and you see sand, you see water, you see bottles, you see supposed to play with to develop all these skills. And they play a lot. They let them play a lot outside, even when it's in the winter season. They look like a typical Ghanaian classroom where you see a board and probably some 1, 2, 3, A for apple, B for ball on it. That is not the case here at all. You see things that they are supposed to play with to develop all these abilities I talked about. So we realized that the things this young little guy knew at 2 years before we came here, he started forgetting them. Children are such that if you do not continue, they forget what they've learned very easily. So he started forgetting spelling 1 to 10. But we also realized that his communication skills improved so much. His choice of words were more accurate, and he could now tell you things, and he could tell you stories. And I was actually surprised one day when I told him we were going to bed. Normally when we are going to bed, I am the one who tells them stories. So one day I just mentioned him to tell us a story, and I was amazed. I was amazed. And he could tell the story, and he could change his tone depending on who was talking in the story. He would change his accent. I was amazed. And initially, when you come straight from Africa and you realize that, oh, the child is not allowed to, the child is not bringing homework home, they are not writing anything, they are not spelling anything, you feel that the education, you feel a bit disappointed, because you wish your child will continue at that pace. But when you relax and see, well, the child is not doing this, but what else is he doing? You'll be amazed, and you realize that what he is doing is more. To me, I would say that what he is doing now is more age appropriate. Okay, it's more age appropriate. They teach them a lot more on how to be independent. It is more age appropriate than being able to spell big words. It is more age appropriate for a 3-year-old to be able to wear his shoes unassisted on his own than being able to write from 1 to 500 or from 1 to 1,000. And after that, you need to put his shoes on him. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So initially, we were a bit worried. But then when we also took a step back to see what he's actually learning in the daycare, we realized that he is actually maturing. He's not just reciting, he's not just spelling things, but he's actually growing intellectually. He is growing. We see that our boy is maturing. His choice of words, sometimes he uses some vocabularies, and you will need a dictionary to understand what he means. And yes, so that is it. I think for me, it is good that it is not just about book, but it's really more about development. Okay, it's really more about development and maturity and all skills that are essential. I mean, they make me these bracelets. My girl made this one for me. I was wearing one before that my boy made for me from school, from daycare. And all of these I think they are more essential skills to life than just learning how to spell and write and recite so many things. The children are not given homework here like they are given back home. It depends on the teacher. So some teachers will give homework, some teachers will not give homework. Normally when they have work in class that they do not finish, they'll bring it home to finish. Some teachers will give homework. I was actually surprised when my girl's teacher sent us an email that she's going to be giving them homework, but if you, the parent, does not want the child to be bringing homework, you should let her know. I was like, what is this? Are you serious? You should let the teacher know whether you want your child to bring homework home or not, because it's not compulsory, it's not compulsory. So if you, the parent, does not want your child to bring homework home and you let the teacher know, the teacher is not going to give your child homework home. In fact, in the same school, some parents with children in some other classes say that their children have never brought homework home. So it actually depends on the teacher whether he or she wants to give their children homework or not. One thing that I also really like about how the school runs is how the teachers communicate. So they let you know what they are learning. At the end of every week, they send you, this week we did this, and next week we will be doing this, so that you, the parent, know exactly what they are learning in school. And if you want to assist your child, you are able to do that based on the information the teacher sent you. So it makes it easy for you to know. So unlike back home, it's the homework that will let you know what they are learning in school. Yes, that is about it. My next point, I think I've basically spoken about this. So their learning is not just academic, it's not write, it's not spell, it's not chew and pour. It has a lot more to do with all-round skills, essential life skills. Okay, it's all-rounded. A little bit of learning. You go to the gym, yes, they learn. they go to the gym, they do a lot of arts, they do a lot of projects, they do a lot of crafts, they do a lot of reading. I mean, it will surprise you that a child in kindergarten brings library books home to read. So instead of the homeworks that would have been coming home in Ghana, he rather comes home with library books. They go to the library and they are allowed to pick books on their own. So from at that very young age, he is given the chance to develop his interest in reading some specific type of books. So you realize that he's bringing home a particular trend of books. They learn presentation skills, they work in group, collaboration, how to collaborate and work in a book, how to present, do projects and present as a group, and all that, which I think is very good. I feel that my children would have done a bit better academically if we were still back home in Ghana, okay? But I also appreciate how much they have matured. I appreciate how much they have matured in other essential areas that the Ghana education system was not focusing on. I really, really appreciate that. And I say again that that is more essential to life than the things that they are not able to do now. However, there are some areas that I wish I could do something with the Canadian school system, and that has to do with, so that there is some element of seriousness. Okay, there's this element of seriousness in our schools back home. I don't know where you're coming from, but where you are watching me from, but in Ghana, there's this element of seriousness with school, where you are going to school and you know that you need to learn before you go. You need to learn something before you go, because when you go, your teachers may ask you some questions, or there's going to be some mental in the morning. You need to learn your multiplication tables before you go. You need to, that serious element of the school is what I do not really see here. It's no big deal. It's okay if I don't know. It's okay. I don't know if you can really understand me. That serious element in the school is what I don't see here. And I feel that does not help children who are lazy. For children who like school, who on their own do well and know how to learn on their own, it is okay. But when it comes to children who are lazy, it's like parenting. You cannot use, I feel some children need some action, okay? Gentle parenting may not work for every child. Gentle parenting may not work for every child. So like the Canadian school system is more like the gentle parenting approach, and I feel it doesn't work for every child. Some children need a bit more pressure, minimal pressure, or something for them to come out of their shells to perform. So if you have a child who is lazy, it is very, very worrying, because they don't see the big deal. They don't see why they should put any energy in anything, because they go to school and the teacher says it's okay. You, the parent, is worried, and the teacher says it's okay. She's just trying to get used to. She's like, So that element I feel is missing. I feel that seriousness element is missing. The other thing that I feel a bit uncomfortable with is decency and discipline. Okay, so here in Toronto, children, they don't have school uniforms. They wear house clothing in school. And when it comes to decency, well, I am Ghanaian and I am African and I'm Ghanaian. There are some clothing that children would just not wear to school. Even if they have to wear their house clothing, there are some clothing that will not be allowed to wear to school. But here in the summer, it will surprise you the kind of things some children wear to school, and then you ask yourself, where is the code of ethics? Where is decency? Where is discipline? Well, I don't know whether it has to do with culture, but which culture allows a child to wear something like a pant, just a little bigger than a pant, to school in the name of a summer? And the tops are so short, their tummies are all exposed. Probably they put something like a chain or a bead on the tummy, and they are going to school. And I mean, the worrying aspect is that your children see this every day, and they tend to think it is normal because they see other children dressed like this to school, and there's no problem with it. They see other children dressed like this to school, and nobody's saying there's anything wrong with it. So if your child tries to dress like that home and you tell the child no, the child is confused. People dress like this to school and nobody says anything. Why do I want to dress the same when you are telling me it is wrong? If it is wrong, why are children dressing like that to school? So that is one challenge here as an African parent, or a parent coming from Africa. I know culture is context specific, and we find ourselves in a place where there are so many people coming from so many places, and everybody's culture is different. So some things may be accepted in other cultures but may not be accepted in yours. And yeah, so that is the worry. As an African parent, it means that you should consciously teach your child the elements of your culture that you still want the child to uphold. You will still want to teach your child that, and you have to be very tactical in this approach, because you do not want the child going around telling people that they are dressed indecently. They are going to be in trouble. Yes, so you have to let the child know that we all come from different places, and some things are accepted in some places, but it is not accepted where we find ourselves, or where we happen to come from, or our beliefs as probably Christians or Muslims does not permit us to do these things. Okay, so the fact that other people are doing it doesn't make it right, doesn't mean you can do it too. We are all different, so you need to consciously be drumming these things into your children's ears. You need to consciously be working on that before they accept it as normal, and they also want to do that because they see people do it and nobody reprimands them. Okay, so yes guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I know this video has been all over the place, forgive me, but I hope you get my line of reason or my line of thoughts. Kindly share your thoughts and your experience. If you have any experience, kindly share them with me in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed yet, kindly take time to do that now. Okay, see you in my next video. Bye.